Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing Tea Street. Today's mug, warm and cozy. Can I just say to you, today's topic probably won't make you feel warm and cozy because the topic that I'm going to talk about, if we do it, then we might feel warm and cozy, but we should never feel cozy about what we're going to talk about. So, today's topic, don't skip the process of avoiding compromise. Now, I know that when we generally hear about compromise, it's when people are saying, we should just meet in the middle. We want to keep peace. And so it's going to require everyone to give a little. It's going to require everyone to compromise. One of my very favorite quotes of all time came from Dr. Mary Frances Berry. Dr. Mary Frances Berry is a historian. She's a professor. She's a lawyer. And she served on the United States Civil Rights Commission. And when President Ronald Reagan came into office, he tried to have her removed from the seat. And she sued the federal government to keep her seat on the Civil Rights Commission. And she won. And when they kept asking her, they've offered you concessions. Why won't you just compromise and meet in the middle? This quote, y'all, has stuck with me for at least 25 years. She said, when we are fighting for what is right, there is no room for compromise. And I know that in a culture that continually tells us it's okay to compromise, it sounds contradictory, but I'm here to tell you, I believe that Mary Frances Berry was right. When it comes to your values, your calling, or your integrity, compromise ain't a shortcut. It's a slow fade. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small steps. Yep. We slowly concede to things or silent justifications. It's just a little bit of sin. It's just a little white lie. It's just a little giving up of myself and what I believe is right. Avoiding compromise requires clarity. It requires that you are clear about what you believe. It requires conviction and it requires courage. And today we're going to walk through the parts. Good morning, Val. We're going to walk through the three parts of compromise. Ooh, when I tell you this word right here, this is right and tight. The first thing you have to do is you have to check. Good morning, Jackie. You have to check your standards. What do you believe? What do you stand for? Check your standards. Compromise rarely starts in the moment. It starts long before you ever get to the moment. If your standards aren't set ahead of time, pressure will decide what your standards are. If you don't know what you believe, in the moment, you'll be pressured into what you think you believe. And I promise you, the moment that you get to a place of compromise, it had already started. The decision came long before the test. So that's why it's important to know what it is you value. What are your non-negotiables? The same goes for us. Y'all, if we don't define our boundaries, the world around us will define them for us. We start to believe that right is wrong and wrong is right and all kinds of things if we don't know what it is. Good morning, Deaconess Wendy. If we don't know what we really believe. So whatever you do, don't skip the process of avoiding compromise. Check your standards before they're tested, because I promise you, you didn't start compromising in the moment. You started compromising when you didn't have a standard. Oh, I said it. Recognize the subtle slips. Most of us don't just go out and compromise ourselves, like make the big one. We do it subtly and slowly. It starts when we start to rationalize things like, man, it ain't that deep. Everybody is doing it. What's the big deal? I remember when I was a kid, and my parents first became Christians, our lives flipped upside down. I have friends whose parents were like, walking between two worlds. And so I wanted my mama to walk between two worlds. My mom was like, no, I will not compromise the gospel. I'm not going to compromise it to make my kids and anybody else comfortable, because the word of God is not compromisable. I'm not going to compromise on that. I'll compromise on your curfew time. I'll compromise on who gets to clean the dishes on what week, but I'm not compromising the word of God. And I remember seeing that as an example. Before you know it, if you start to compromise, you'll trade your conviction for comfort. All of us feel this conviction in us when we get ready to do something wrong. The moment that you reach the place where the things that you used to know were wrong aren't wrong anymore, you have now traded. You I said it. You've now traded your conviction for comfort. So that's the second step. The third step, choose conviction over convenience. Y'all, having non-negotiables isn't easy. I can't sleep when I compromise. Have I ever compromised? Yep. Every now and then I'll compromise with kids because I don't want to be the nag or the person who always holds them accountable when the rest of the world is letting them fly like crazy in inappropriate ways. And so every now and then I'll be like, just don't say anything, T. And when I do that, y'all, I feel convicted. I choose conviction when I let kids in my program listen to inappropriate music. I had to come back to my kids and say, I owe you an apology. This program has higher standards than your school. And so that's not appropriate. And so I had to come back after conviction and say, I don't want to be liked more than I want to be right. I don't want to be liked more than I want to be right with kids. And I know it's right to have a high standard. And so sometimes it means that we have to choose to be inconvenienced. We have to choose to not be comfortable. Avoiding compromise isn't about perfection. It's about protection. When we have high standards, y'all, we set a standard that covers us and it covers other people. So today, I just wanted to come by and tell somebody, whatever you do, don't skip the process of avoiding compromise. Check your standards before your standards are tested. Recognize that it doesn't happen all at once. It happens subtly. And finally, choose conviction over convenience. That's the word for me today. Good morning, nephew Jerome. Good morning, Katina. When you start lowering your expectations, Katina says, and call it compromise. Y'all, can I just say to you, we need people who will stand for right even when it's not popular. Even when it's not popular. And so sometimes, as I started this talk out saying that my favorite quote was by Mary Frances, one of my favorite quotes, especially around this topic, is by Dr. Mary Frances Berry. When we are fighting for what is right, there is no room for compromise. You have to know what are your non-negotiables, the thing for which you will not be a sellout. I'm the amazing T Street. There's absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. So whatever you do today, don't skip the process of avoiding compromise. Stand on business. Have a great day.